on this.
Ro, turn on your video.
Alright, just let everyone in.
Bruh, Ro just muted themselves.
Oh,
I'll turn on my video. I ain't looking too good though.
It's okay.
Oh
Yeah,
man, that's a lot.
hi guys.
Yo, Eric now joined.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yo,
what you love to see.
Again. All right, so the meeting is being recorded right now. So if some of your friends can't make it, it's okay. We'll just upload the recorded meeting onto like YouTube. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna start screen sharing because we have a few PowerPoints that we're gonna go over. So let me screen share. Oh yeah. Okay. So please make sure to mute yourself so you can everyone else can hear better. All right, so we'll just be going over a few of like, let me admit more people. Admit.
There's an option to turn waiting room off, I think.
Okay, we should be good now. Okay, guys, welcome to our sort of overview general first meeting for the season. Usually we'd have this meeting like once school started or like at the end of the school year, but we'll have it virtually this time. So hopefully you'll get as much information as you need. So what is JETS? I'm sure you guys already know a bit about JETS since you're here, but JETS stands for Junior Engineering and Technical Society. And we specialize in Science Bowl and Science Olympiad. And yeah, so just to quickly introduce our officers, my name's Hannah, and I'll be your president for this year.
My name is
Emily.
Oh. Emily can go first.
Yeah, okay. My name is Emily, and I'm a logistics coordinator.
Yeah, my name is Sanjay, and I'm also logistics coordinator.
I'm Andrew, I'm the Science Bowl coordinator.
I'm Urkam, I'm the build coordinator.
I'm Arul, I'm also a build coordinator.
I'm Kate, and I do volunteer outreach.
I'm Anisha.
I'm Michael. Oh, Anisha can go first.
I'm Anisha. I'm on ad team.
I'm Michael. I'm also on that team. Whoa.
I'm Vaidahi, and I'm also part of the ad team.
Nice.
So here's the sponsor for JETS. So our sponsor is Mr. Hart, and he teaches Physics 1 and 2. And previous sponsors have included Mr. Kinsey, Mr. Chan, and Mrs. Songwell.
So you might be wondering what Science Olympiad is if you're new. But basically, it's where teams of 15 people compete in 23 events, which range over a variety of subjects. So those include biology, earth science, physics, chemistry. There's engineering through like building events, and then also nature of science events, which are called inquiry events. And you'll see what those are specifically later.
So there are study events. So you work with your partners to complete a test in 50 minutes, and the format of each test is different for each event. So like some are just written tests, while others have stations or like labs or like hands-on portions. And these events usually let you have note sheets or a binder. So the topics that study events like cover range from anatomy and physiology to like ornithology to chemistry lab. And there's a bunch of different study events covering a bunch of like different topics. So it's easy to find a real passion in these events.
Okay, so here is a quick link. I'll link it in the chat like right now, but it's basically a overview of all the events that we'll have for 2021. And it's really brief. So, and there's also contact information for people who have done those events before. So if you do have any questions, you can just go ahead and either scan the QR code and like ask anyone who's listed on those events.
Yeah, so we just talked about study events, but the other type of events that in Science Olympiad are building events. So if you like building stuff like, or if you like robotics in middle school, or you liked, maybe if you did Science Olympiad in middle school, you might have heard of these. But basically, what these are to design and create a structure that is tested for some sort of metric in competition. And so we have a specific T-Shack at Clements where we house building tools, and we have a second area for people to build at school with like all the tools and all the materials you need. So yeah, so that's a really good resource to use during the year. And then some events have half build portions where they're basically half the total score is based on a build and the other half is based on a test. So depending on the event, the specifics change, but yeah, this is just the overall view for building events. Yeah, so for building events, safety demonstrations are required for all builders. We're not really sure exactly how school's gonna work next year, but as soon as we're able to get into the T-Shacks and safely go to school, we'll definitely have some sort of safety demonstration for everyone to come and build with. And usually this safety demonstration is held at the beginning of the school year, but depending on the timeline for next year, that might move around a little bit. And the T-Shack is free and available after that safety demonstration, where if you come and attend, you can come and build in the T-Shack, or even study. We have a separate study side also for the T-Shack.
All right, so we have a few competition recaps so you guys can look at later, but it's just how competitions work, and we have some people who recorded things. So you guys can look at that later on our YouTube channel. And so you guys might be wondering about getting on the team and study sessions for mainly about this summer. So just to talk about it a bit more, there are 15 spots per team and 2 teams, typically 2 teams per competition. So entry is a bit competitive, and for state and sort of larger scale competitions, we'll only be sending 1 team. But don't worry, because we'll be making sure that everyone, especially if you're new and need experience, can compete and go to competitions as well. So make sure to treat every single competition seriously, because it'll be a chance for you to sort of take tests in the test-taking environment and prove yourself, I guess, kind of like that. But yeah, don't worry about getting started. We'll have a lot of veterans helping you in the coming weeks, and then they'll give you resources and just general like tips from like their time competing, and then also how to prepare for competitions once like the school year starts. So quals will typically be held like a few, like maybe 2 weeks into school once we go back to school. And we'll also be taking note of your engagement with us over the summer. So make sure to talk to veterans or whoever leads the events you're interested in. And then don't be afraid to ask them whatever questions you want and become friends, because I promise they're not that scary, even though we seem a bit intimidating maybe, but yeah. So also we have the T-Shacks, which is pretty great. After school, we basically hang out there and practice and take tests. And they're like towards the behind back area of Clements, and we'll have snacks, and like it's a good place for partners to meet up and practice their events together. And yeah, we'll have a build side as well as a study side. So,
yeah. Okay, so here are some important dates for like Science Olympiad next year. So since we have like coronavirus and everything, these dates aren't really confirmed. But like here's just like a general like time of when each thing is gonna happen. So just like take a picture of this, I guess. Just like write it down somewhere. And here are some important dates for Science Bowl.
okay, yeah, so this is also our sort of legacy / how we've performed at competitions in the past. So as you can see, we always do quite well at competitions, and unfortunately we didn't get to go to state last year because of COVID, but we're hoping that we can continue to carry on like the Jets legacy, and it's up to you guys to make sure that that happens.
Yeah, so now let's talk about the other competition Jets does, which is Science Bowl. And basically this event, this competition is a buzzer-based competition in which teams of 4 and an alternate compete against each other. And so the subject areas covered in this competition are biology, earth science, math, energy, physics, chemistry, and astronomy. And like Science Olympiad, Clements has done really well at Science Bowl. In 2016, we went to nationals and got 3rd, and then since then we've consistently gotten 2nd at state to our to Dulles High School. So hopefully next year this coming year we'll be able to finally get 1st and make nationals again. But yeah, so that's our goal moving forward. So yeah, I'm gonna quickly go over the gameplay. It's a little bit confusing, but if you have any questions, just ask me or Andrew. You can just message me or Andrew, and we can tell you more about it. But basically, how this works is there are two teams of four that play against each other at a time, and there are two types of questions, which are toss-ups and bonuses. And toss-ups and bonuses can either be multiple choice or short answer. And there's individual buzzing with kind of a team strategy. So for the toss-ups, only a single person on your team can buzz. And once they buzz, no one else on your team can buzz again for that question. So if your team gets that question right, then you get to answer the bonus question, which is weighted more heavily. So basically your goal is to be as fast as possible when buzzing, but get it right. Because there's negative penalties for interrupting the question and getting it wrong. And there are not 25 toss-ups anymore. That's a little outdated. It's actually 23. But yeah, the idea is basically the same. And if you have any questions, this is really brief. The official rules can be found on the NSB website, but just ask Andrew or me if you have any further questions.
Okay.
Okay, so here's how you guys can stay in touch with us and stuff. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, just email us at jets.chs@gmail.com. And you can like look at pictures, updates, and like study resources and stuff on at our website, which is clementsjets.org. So you need to make an account to like get the study resources. But once you make an account and get verified and stuff, you can like see all the things for like science bowl and like science olympiad, like help you study and stuff. And for remind, just text Jets CHS to 81010 for our remind.
So, quick note, these resources are only for Clements kids. So, like, looking at you, Kenley, and everyone else who's not in Clements.
Yeah, don't share resources with other schools because these are stuff that we've spent time curating, and we just don't want to be freely sharing our resources with schools we're competing against.
Yeah. And one other thing, join a Facebook group as well.
Yeah.
It's called like just Clements Jet, I think. And then also like Clements Jet's summer study sessions.
Yeah, so Andrew just mentioned, make sure to join those Facebook groups. Fill out an interest form that will be showing you in the next PowerPoint. And then, yeah, so that's basically how we'll be giving updates. Oops,
Yeah, make sure to join that summer study session group.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we'll be moving on to talk about our events. Oops, let me go to the right slide. Okay. All right, we'll start with anatomy.
So yeah, now we're going to be introducing like the actual events in Science Olympiad. So the first one is going to be anatomy and physiology, and I think Anisha can introduce this.
Yeah, so anatomy and physiology, it's pretty like self-explanatory in the name, but basically you learn about 3 human body systems. So kind of like what you guys did in Bio 1 at the end of the year, it's just that, but in more depth. So this year was skeletal, integumentary, and muscular, but it usually alternates throughout the years. But yeah, that was this year. And you just learn about the anatomy, the physiology, and some diseases. So this is like a sample question. Which of the following binds calcium during excitation, contraction, coupling? Y'all can go ahead and leave your guesses in the chat, I guess. All right. Okay.
Thank you, Nitin, for your commentary.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, Nisha, do you want to tell them the answer?
Yeah, so you're right. The answer was troponin. So on the left side, there's a diagram of the neuromuscular junction, which you can basically think of like how your nerve signal will communicate with like contracting your muscle. And on the right side is a diagram of like a myosin filament and doing the contraction itself.
Yeah, don't get intimidated by this stuff. This is all like
yeah. And we all start like somewhere and work up from there. So
and you'll learn about it later. So yeah, another thing, person usually does like 3 to 4 different events. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. All right. So on the left side is a diagram of a bone. Yeah, in detail, I guess. And on the right side is a diagram of the skin. So yeah, definitely don't be intimidated. You'll learn these things when you join it. Yeah.
I'm
Natural.
Vaidahi, and this is astronomy. And in astronomy, the main question that we ask is, how has the universe evolved over 14 billion years? So for 2021, the main topic of focus is cosmology. So it encompasses all of the things that you see on the slide here, and you can learn about all of this and much more when you join astronomy. So astronomy is made up of three main parts. It's theory, math, and DSOs. So you have to be familiar with all three of those so that you can do well in astronomy. So this is a sample question. This is actually one of the math questions that comes up frequently on a test. So it's about the cosmic microwave background, and this is actually, you have to use a law called the Wien's displacement law to do this question. So we'll actually learn about that in astronomy, and it's really cool.
Hi, I'm Kate, and this is everyone's favorite event, Boomy Lever. This is a build event, which uses balsa to build something similar to like a half bridge, where one end is hooked to the wall and the other holds weight. And you want the structure to be as light as possible and hold the most weight, so your score can be like really high.
So this is chemistry lab. Chemistry lab has two subtopics every year, and it has a test portion and a lab portion. And this year it's physical properties and acids and bases. So a possible lab that you could be asked to do is, for example, a titration. And that's actually one of the questions here. So it's a pretty simple titration question. It's pretty common on many tests. So this is actually a neutralization equation. So you have to find the concentration of hydrochloric acid, and the answer is written down below, actually.
This is circuit lab. For this event, you go all into DC circuits and DC circuit theory, as well as a lab portion. You solve circuits to find voltage, resistance, and current. And you also have to know some basic terminology such as inductors, diodes, and capacitors. And a sample question you might have on an exam is like, what does Kirchhoff's voltage law state?
If anyone has any guesses, you can just send it into the box. Okay. There have been no responses, but that's okay. Erkan, you want to explain it?
Basically, it states that for like a closed loop circuit, all the like sum of voltages is equal to 0.
Next, code busters.
All right, Code Buster. This is a really fun event, honestly, except the computation part, but we ignore that. So this one, Code Busters, is exactly what it sounds like. Code Busters. You're given like codes, like encrypted messages, and it's up to you to decrypt them. So there's like a bunch of ciphers, like 10, like over 10 types of, I'm not sure how many, but like a lot of ciphers. And what you're supposed to do is just encrypt and decrypt a bunch of messages using these ciphers. And yeah, if you're interested in puzzles or if you're good at math and you can compute quickly, like this event is for you. Like the latter is why I do this event, but the puzzle part, like aristocrats and patristocrats, are also quite fun. And if you're interested in this kind of stuff or you're good at math, you should definitely check this out.
Designer genes.
Yeah, so next we'll talk about designer genes. So this is obviously a biology event, right? So it focuses on all the stuff you learned in biology 1, but it's a little bit harder. Sometimes it could be easier depending on who wrote the test, but it can get pretty hard. So things you go over are like genetics, DNA and RNA, gene expression, so like transcription, translation. You learn about using Punnett squares to calculate genetic probabilities. You learn about Hardy-Weinberg and population genetics. And then you also learn, about biotechnology, which I think is like the coolest part of this event. So you learn about stuff like PCR and then ways for sequencing genes. So if you like problem solving in biology, this is like this is like a good event for you. So I want to preface can you go to the next slide? I want to preface this question with that it's like very hard. Most of the tests you won't see this type of question, but just try looking at it and try answering it. It's a little bit hard. It takes a little bit of time, but if you want to try just doing it, just take a look. Yeah, okay. Can you go to the next slide? So I took a picture of this, but like basically I wanted to keep as much math as possible, math out of it as possible, but I just showed you like this binomial expansion, which is basically equivalent to this. So we have these three alleles, right? So basically what you have is like A1, A2, and A3, which can be passed down. And so you have three parents that make one offspring. So it's kind of like a weird system. Obviously, it's imaginary. So basically, this binomial expansion can represent this like the genetics of that population. So this expansion is what it is when you expand that out. But you don't actually need that for this question. I just wanted to write it out to like show you. But basically, what you can figure out is that the complete recessive can only be from someone who has only A3 alleles, and the probability of getting that is 0.008, which the question gave you. So the frequency of the A3 allele will be 0.2. And then from there, you could substitute A3 into this into the completely heterozygous frequency, which the question gives you as 0.18. So if you solve that out, you get the frequency of A1 times the frequency of A2 is 0.03. And then you divide that by 0.2, so you get 0.15. So A1 times A2 is 0.15. And then if you go up to the answer choices again, the only two answer choices that work are A and B. So you can either expand the binomial again and solve the math, or you can just guess and check. I just guessed and checked and figured out the answer was A. Sorry if this is rushed. Just message me if you want an actual like detailed explanation. But this is kind of a hard question, so don't worry about it.
So our next event is detector building. So this is kind of one of the house build events that Sanjay was talking about, because like a big part of this event is building a temperature sensing device, but you also get to like bring a binder for like the test portion. So for the temperature sensing device, like during competition, you like get 4 different water samples and you have to try to get the temperature of each water sample. And the closer you are to the actual temperature, the more points you get. And for the test portion, you just have to answer some questions about like resistance, voltage, temperature, LEDs, and calibrations, like stuff like concepts that are like similar to like the stuff you need to know for your device. So an easier question that you might get during competition is what does LED stand for? So if anyone knows, just like put it in chat. Yeah, so bunch of people are getting it right. So it is light emitting diode.
Nice. Okay. Next is disease detectives, and I'm pretty sure it's the most relevant one as to right now. So this event is basically about epidemiology, and it's the study of the distribution and control of diseases in a population. So we used to have subtopics, but this year and last year we got rid of those. But these will include environmental quality, foodborne illnesses, and population growth. So basically what you can be tested on is quite broad, but this event mainly focuses on statistics and some like formula application stuff, and also case studies, and then interpreting data and writing conclusions, and then memorizing some terms that will be useful to like write conclusions to those case studies, and then also knowing like related viruses and bacteria to the case studies. So usually there's two sections in tests. There's an information section about diseases, and then general epidemiology, which has just like a bunch of vocab terms they'll just like test you on. It's just memorization. And then there's also application questions where they'll give you like a hypothetical scenario or like a scenario that's happened in the past, and then make you calculate like certain statistics to like analyze the scenario. But yeah, if you want to know more, it's good to visit the CDC website, and they have like a tutorial where they can like basically teach you everything about this event in like sort of like a step-by-step info course. And then also, yeah, the Scioli Wiki is also really helpful to learn about this event. So there's an example question that's pretty straightforward. It's what are the three parts of the epidemiological triad? And hint, there's actually two of them. But if you have any guesses, just send them into the chat box. Oh, take 10 seconds. Yeah, so person, place, time is one of them. That's for the descriptive triad. And then the other one is called the chain of infection, which includes the agent, vector, and host. So yeah, next is dynamic planet.
So this is Dynamic Planet. This is an earth science event, and the topic this year will be focusing on oceanography. It's like somewhat similar to water quality in the sense that they're both oceans, but this one focuses more about like the earth instead of ecology. And yeah, not really many people do it, so it's a good opportunity to learn a lot more about the earth. And a simple question would be, what % of energy from wind is transferred to ocean water? And like the answer is 2%. It's like not that hard question, but yeah.
Okay, also a quick note, all of the events that we've kind of gone over already but are bolded in red mean that there are not that many people who do the event currently, but so it's like ample opportunity for you guys to sort of take the lead. But yeah. Okay, next, experimental design.
All right, so for experimental design, you basically design an experiment, like it's in the name, and then you have to write a lab report over it. So like here are some sample questions or like sample labs that you need to like design an experiment for. Yeah.
Okay, next is forensics. This is personally my favorite event because it's kind of like a combination of chemistry, bio, and physics. But essentially they'll give you like, during the test, they'll give you like, you and your partner will both split up, and then one person will be basically reading like a crime scene where they'll mention like a few key facts that you're expected to memorize. So say Billy has bipolar disorder, and you'll just have to know that lithium chloride is used in bipolar medication, and if lithium chloride is found at the scene, and you test that through like a flame test, like hands-on flame test through like lab application, then you'll just know that Billy may be the suspect. So in addition to that, there's also like a lot of bio when it comes to like PCR and like DNA analysis, and then also physics for like glass analysis and Snell's law, and chemistry for like just knowing how like qualitative analysis as well as like balancing equations and things like that. So it's relatively not too complex, but it requires you to know like a lot of information. But yeah, it's really fun and really adrenaline rushing. And then yeah, so these are some example questions. And so like these two are commonly seen on basically like every single test. And for like this one, they'll give you like a fake blood splatter, and then you'll have to like, based on like the spikes and how the blood splatter looks, you'll be expected to know how like what direction this blood was traveling from, and then also the angle of impact against the ground, which is just like this formula. So yeah, and then also this is a hair that we'll be going over. It's probably the easiest hair to identify, but if you do find it at the scene, you will be looking at it under like a microscope, and then but yeah, this is a bat hair, and it's actually really easy to identify because it doesn't look like any of the other ones, and it has like this sort of like cone, stacked paper cup cone structure. So yeah, really cool. Okay, awesome. Sanjay.
My mic was muted. Sorry, guys. Basically, yeah, we're talking about fossils. So, yeah. So in this event, you'll learn how to recognize fossil specimens and identify the condition they lived in, based on like the parameters of their fossilization. So where they were fossilized, what their range was, what type of food they ate, stuff like that is all involved with fossils. And you also get to learn about stuff that isn't specifically related to a specific fossils. Like you'll learn about the general dating of rocks. You'll learn about how to calculate radioactive decay times. And you also learn about coprolites and other fun trace fossils. And there are 98 different genuses of notable fossil species on the list. So yeah, it's really cool event. Definitely recommend this. And as you can see, it's we lack people in this event. So if you're even remotely interested, I'd recommend you try it out because it's pretty fun.
Geomapping.
So this next event is geomapping, which is another earth science event that we would like a lot more people to be involved with. Basically, it focuses on geology, geography, and different types of maps like topography and different like earth science, pretty much. But this is more of like a not focused on the ocean, so it's definitely different from Dynamic Planet, and it also has like a math aspect of it, where you need to use like maps and stuff to figure out things.
Gravity vehicle.
All right. So this event is like it's a complete build event, and we're basically to design and create a ramp as well as a vehicle. So basically, you're taking the vehicle and you're like hooking it at the top of the ramp, and then you have to like use a pencil and hit the like a hook or something, and then that vehicle has to like roll down the ramp, and you have a specific place to stop at. Yeah, you have a specific mark to stop at, and you stop there as accurately as possible and as quick as possible in order to get the best score. So that's basically it. So there's a lot of ideas. Some of those YouTube videos are kind of helpful to get your brain rolling on what you guys can do. But yeah, there's a lot of things on like the wiki as well, so you can check that out.
Yeah, the event PowerPoint will be available for you guys to look at after. Okay. Also, this meeting is being recorded too. Okay, machines.
All right, so machines is like a few of the previously mentioned events. It's a half build, half test physics event. So machines is an event based on the understanding of simple and compound machines. There's two sections, the test section and the build section. In the test section, you will be tested on the history and the functionalities of simple machines, as well as like trying to calculate different physical aspects, such as like mechanical advantages of specific compound machines, forces, works, etc. And luckily, you also get to bring your notes binder into the test. And then in the build section, you're to make a compound lever that should be able to measure as accurately as possible, of course, the ratio between two objects. Like the picture to the right is a lever we built when we went to one of the competitions. And during the competition, you're to use that lever to measure the ratio between object A, object B, and object C. And this event is a very interesting event, and you actually learn a lot about it if you have taken Physics 1.
A sample question might be asking what the ideal mechanical advantage of the pulley system to the right is, if anyone wants to guess. Yes, Isaac. It's 4.
Next, ornithology.
Okay, so this is ornithology. It's the study of birds. Um, this is an ID event, so you're gonna need to make a binder. But you can also learn like how to identify each bird. This event features different birds, and you need to identify like their anatomy, adaptations, and like their songs even. And then one thing, when you go outside, you can flex on your friends if you know how to ID the birds. All right, and then we have a sample question on the next slide. So like you guys can like take your guesses if you want in the chat. All right, very cool answers. I like them. It is a greater roadrunner, and these species are monogamous actually, and they excrete salt using glands in their eyes because they live in the desert. There's like no water, right? So yeah.
So the next event is ping pong parachute, and this is actually build slash inquiry event because how much trials this takes. So you have to build a volatile rocket to launch a ping pong ball that you're going to attach to a parachute. So the parachute is made up of plastic bags, and a ping pong ball is just a standard one. And your parachute needs to stay in the air for the greatest possible amount of time. So as you can see, these are sample models that people have built, and most people's models end up looking something like this. But of course, there's a lot of room for creativity. And yeah, it's really interesting to see what people come up with at every competition.
So yeah, the next, I think the final bio event is protein modeling. So yeah, there's a new protein chosen every year. And yeah, there's kind of 3 components to this event. The first is the pre-competition build. Second is the JMO exploration, and third is the test. So for the pre-competition build, you have to build a section of a protein, which is disclosed beforehand, usually at the beginning of the season. And you must follow certain specifications and show the functionality of the protein in some way. And this kind of pre-competition build is really artistic and creative. So you can be like, it's really fun and interesting if you like building things.
And then, so the JMOL exploration is during the competition. So you basically get a PDB file and you have to use JMOL to answer questions about a protein. So for example, you might get a question that's like, how many hydrogen bonds are in this protein? And like you do calculate H bonds and like the JMOL commands little section to like get how many hydrogen bonds are in the protein. So this is just like basically just like memorizing a bunch of commands and like how to use them and stuff.
Yeah, and for the test, it consists of general information about protein structures and like proteins. So it's kind of like a biochemistry test, basically. So although there are questions specifically talk about the protein of that year, it's generally a short test and it's weighted less than the build portions. So for the JMO exploration, I think Emily can go over that after I finish talking about the test. But basically, like the question is, what is the major functional role of the zinc ion and the zinc finger? Anyone has any guesses, you can put in the chat. Okay, basically, the zinc finger is a structural motif which is basically like a fancy way of saying a repetitive like structure in DNA that codes for something. So the zinc ion just basically does something called coordinate the motif, which basically means it kind of like keeps it stable and it kind of interacts with all the other amino acids, if you've heard of amino acids, in the structure to keep the zinc finger together. Yeah, that's basically the answer. that is. Wait, Emma, do you want to go over the JMO?
I kind of like went over it already.
Oh, you went over it? Okay, never mind.
All right, sounds of music.
All right, so this is Sounds of Music. This is a physics event, but also like a half build event. So if you like play an instrument, this event is like perfect for you because you get to build an instrument, whether it be like a string instrument or like a woodwind or like whatever. And then your instrument needs to have like keys, like the notes that they play need to be like like accurate to like, I believe it's like 10 cents. I'm not sure. I don't remember what it was, but I believe it's different for state too. And then the other half of this test is a test, obviously, which tests you over physics of sound. There's harmonics, waves, and like different motions. Yeah.
All right, science word. Sanjay.
Oh yeah, sorry. My mic was being muted. But basically, Science Word is an event. It's considered an inquiry event, which is basically like a not like test based event. There's like something different here happening. So basically, what that is you have 40 words and you're trying to go through them as many of them as possible in 4 minutes. And one partner gives 2-word hints to the other partner, who then tries to guess the word that was shown to the partner. So basically, what that means is if the word, for example, is acceleration, one of the clues, if you know calculus or basic calculus, is you could say velocity derivative, which is equal to acceleration. So you could say that, and then your partner would guess acceleration, and that'd be correct. So yeah, so that's basically how this works. And a few of the rules are like, if the word is like deoxyribonucleic acid, you can't say DNA or stuff, and you have to speak in like English, you can't speak in a different language, stuff like that. But it's pretty fun event, honestly, because it's not super content heavy. It's really fun. Yeah, it's just fun to do it with someone and practice.
Water quality.
So then this next event is water quality. It will test you on ecology and of like ocean habitats and coral reefs and different biomes. You also need to know a bit of chem for measuring, like calculating pH and aragonite saturation and balancing equations and whatnot. And you also need to build a salinometer, which will measure how much salt is in a given sample of water. And in addition to that, there will also be a little bit of ID. There's a few like animals or like species that you need to know. Yeah. And these next slides have like interesting organisms that you all need to know.
Next, wait. Michael?
So this event is Write It, Do It, and we usually just call it Weedy because it's fun to say the word weedy. So you go as a team of 2 people, 1 builder and 1 writer. In the beginning of the event, so the writer will be presented a structure like the ones on the right without the builder seeing. And the writer gets 25 minutes to try to record or write down the appearance of the structure on paper using English and numbers. And then after 25 minutes passes, the writer and the builder switch place, except the builder will now be presented a disassembled structure, as well as the writer's instructions to try to recreate the original structure to the best of their abilities within 20 minutes. And the teams with the most accurate replication of the original structure would win. It's really fun. And saying weedy is also really fun. So do weedy.
We've got your number.
All right, math kids. So if y'all thought code was math, this is even more math. So if you're quick at math, if you're good at the card game 24, if you're good at like number sense, then I guess Ouija is for you. So Rachel says Ouija is the best event. I don't know if I can confirm that, but if you're good at math, this is definitely the one for you to try out. So what you're trying to do here is, as it says, like using 4 digits and elementary operators. Well, not really elementary. You're given a lot of them, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, concatenation, exponentiation, logs, factorials, just a ton of them. So you're trying to, so using 4 specified numbers, for example, 1, 4, 4, 6, you're supposed to find like you're supposed to create as many numbers as you can from 1 to 100. So like you're given 2 sets of 4 numbers, and you have 40 minutes with a partner to figure out as many as you can. So 1 to 100, that's 100 numbers. So it's your job to figure that out. So for example, with the number set 1446, make the following. So just type your answers in chat if you can figure it out. So first is 3. Six minus 4 plus, yep. Both of y'all are right, Aurora and Michael. Like, there's going to be multiple solutions and either one works. So 6 minus 4 is 2 plus 1 to the 4th is 3. And then 4 over 4 is 1 plus 1 is 2. 6 over 2 is 3. So that's pretty good. Next of all, 25. And Runyon, you're right as well. Aurora, you got it. Yep, all of y'all seem right. My personal solution is a bit different. It would be 4 plus 1 to the power of 6 minus 4. So like 5 squared is 25. And now finally, 91. Rishil, Aryan, and Michael, y'all are all right. Like, as you see, there's 2 different solutions, both involving factorials. Like, factorials are a big part of this event. So anyways, this is a really fun event. If y'all want to try it out, if y'all want to do math, or yeah, if y'all just want to have fun, then check it out.
Right stuff.
Right Stuff, it's basically an event where you create a rubber band powered airplane, and your goal is to have it fly for as long as possible. There's several parameters listed on the rule sheet that you have to have the build fall within. And it's not very hard. You just have to do a lot of testing until you're like confident and your plane can fly a while. There's also several cool bonuses that you can have by like painting your plane, for example. There's a sample video linked here. You can watch that to have like a demonstration of what this event looks like.
All right, so where do we go from here? You guys can go ahead and fill out this this information interest form, and make sure to join our Facebook group. I think it's called Clements Jets Summer Study Sessions 2021. And then also don't make an account at clementsjets.org, and then also join the main Clements group. And so from there, we'll be giving information as to like how summer schedule will work for summer study sessions. And then just make sure to check it regularly and to not fall behind. So yeah, now we'll be moving on to how our schedules will
more time.
fill out the interest form.
Wait, yeah, okay. For the interest form, one thing is don't feel pressed to like choose an event you're super sure about right now. This is just to gauge your interest after all. If you think you're interested, just list those events, but it's nothing binding. It's just to like see who's interested in what.
Yep. And it has 2 sections for which ones you know you want to do for sure. So that's like us for those of you who have already competed in previous seasons. And then also like an interested form, like an interest checkbox. So just make sure to just feel free to choose whatever you want without feeling limited. But yeah. So here's our summer schedule spreadsheet. It might look a bit confusing, but to go over it briefly, the way we're doing it is we'll be having teaching and practice sessions each week for each event. So in those teaching sessions, those are targeted more towards novices, even though everyone can come, but we'll be having more like experienced competitors to teach you about like going over each like certain topics within the event every week. Like say for forensics, we'll be talking about like how to identify blood and like fingerprint samples one session, and then we'll be moving on to like different things next session. And then also we'll be having like problem sets in which veterans will be writing those every week for you for those teaching sessions. And then you guys can do those to practice as well. And these teaching and practice sessions will be really, really, really useful when school starts, because I think practicing now is going to get you really ahead from once qualifiers start. And we'll be having teaching sessions every other week, and then practice sessions every other week as well. And in those practice sessions, those are more for veterans and I guess experienced members, but novices feel free to come as well. So we'll be taking a practice test together in that time slot, and then sort of proctoring one another. And then in the next session, we'll be going over those tests together and then doing questions we don't know how to do together. And yeah, so this is a quick group off of veterans, so people who have gone to regionals in the past and sort of events that they do. So yeah, and then this is a schedule for how I guess like time slots per week will go. So obviously this looks like a lot, but if like say you're interested in three events, you only really have to go in like three hours per week basically, and it shouldn't be that bad. So yeah, we'll be posting like Zoom links for these respective events later on. We'll create like another sheet here where we'll put like Zoom links for you guys to click on at those specified times. And then yeah, so just be sure to keep an eye out for when we update those, and then that's about it. We'll be posting all the updates in the summer study session Facebook group because we don't want to overflow the main Facebook group. So just make sure to join that as soon as possible to get all of your events. So yeah, now I'll be opening up for question and answer time, Q&A sessions. So yeah, if you guys have any, yeah.
I just want to say a few thoughts first of all. These meetings are not binding, so like if you can't go to one, just let people like let the event leaders know, and it's all right. Second of all, it's starting next week, right? It's starting like tomorrow, basically.
15th.
Oh, week of the 15th.
So
okay, not tomorrow, but the week after.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then third of all, I think builds work differently than like this teaching practice format, right?
For build, we're gonna
yes.
just use the same format for now, and just give some tips and tricks of how to build and what you can do at home.
All right. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, and also make sure to keep up regular correspondence with those people who will be leading those events. We'll also be giving a list, I forgot to say this, but we'll be giving a list of people who will be sort of teaching at each event slot. So they're all really open to you guys asking questions and like just like bothering them, pestering them with whatever things you want to know. So just make sure to not feel like intimidated or scared or anything. Yeah. So anything else before we move on to question and answer session?
Do you want to give a demo of how to make the account on the website or not?
I think it should be pretty self-explanatory, but
okay, all right.
Yes, but if you guys have any trouble doing that, just message any of us to do. Yeah. So yeah, now if you guys have any questions, you can just turn on your camera, turn on your video and ask, or just type it in the chat box and we can just answer it. Anything in general? Danielle. Andrew, do you want to take the first question?
All right, sure. So Eric Mao asks, are these competitions
the one from
fun?
Danielle.
Oh, Danielle. Wait, where is it?
Oh, it's to me. Never mind. It was private. I'm sorry. Okay. She says that she's a first timer and she's really nervous about joining, but do you have any recommendations for events or studying? So basically, I think first of all, when choosing events, it's important to not like overload yourself. So most people only like stick to around 3 or 4 events. And yeah, so basically I think the best way to approach these studying or just like studying for events in general would be to just go online onto the SciOly wiki. So if you go on Google and you search up SciOly wiki and then like whatever the event name is, it gives you a pretty comprehensive overview of what the event is about and like content within it. So if you go on there and familiarize yourself with things on there as well. It would be really useful. And then for more like specific content heavy events like anatomy, you'll have like, I know like many of our competitors have used like textbooks and sort of like online other links and resources to do that. But we'll be releasing sort of a more comprehensive guide to each event and like specifically all the resources that we have for everything onto there. So I think just take it slowly and then go through the resources and then just like take the practice tests that are available. And then that should prepare you pretty well. So not only to study for the event, but also to study for the test as well. So yeah.
And adding on my 2 cents, one other thing, of course, is that you can ask like anyone who's experienced in the event. Again, like we have the list of people down here. So if you just have any questions, just like message us and dap us up. And in addition, I think the most important thing is just to like go towards the event that like that seems cool, that you're interested in, or like subjects that you're good at. Like personally, for me, I joined last school year, and when I joined, I was just like, wow, Region and Code look like math. Regions, we got your number, by the way. So like they look like math. I'm good at math. I feel like I'd be good at these, and they look kind of fun. So I decided to do them, and look how that turned out. So yeah, that's just my general tip. Just do what sounds nice. Do what sounds like you would enjoy and what you would be good at.
Pretty good advice. Okay. Sanjay, do you want to answer the question from Eric Mao?
Okay, Eric, your question is, are these competitions fun or do you just go and take tests alone? Okay, yeah, so this is a good question. Is Jess just taking tests or is it something more than that? So if Jess was just taking tests, I don't think many of the people in the club would be in the club. It's a lot of fun and competitions are like, it's probably some of the most memorable experiences you'll have from high school. So there's definitely a lot more than just taking tests. We're like a community of people who just like science. So it's a lot of people can connect to things that aren't just science Olympiad related. So a lot of people in our club are like friends outside the club, if you get what I'm saying. So they're able to talk about a lot of different topics. So it's just like you form lifelong friendships through the club. So it's definitely a really memorable experience and it's definitely really fun. And competitions do have like a testing period, but before and after that, it's just all fun. So it's really fun to go to these competitions and Jess is just a really fun club. So yeah, that answers that question, I hope.
Yeah, and a bit more is that sometimes like for those overnight competitions, we'll also go and like have like mini adventures to different random places like Staples or like hot pot places. Like at MIT this past year, we typically have the tradition of going to eat hot pot before or after the award ceremony. And then we also like do college tours and like just like random just like sightseeing in the area as well. So it's very it's much more than just like a group of nerds taking tests. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And my 2 cents is like, Eric, like if you want to think about like the fun parts, I remember at like UT last year at regionals this spring, like I was just scootering around with one of my friends before region, and like we went to the classics department and whatnot. And yeah, it's just really fun. Honestly, you can have a lot of fun throughout the competitions and whatnot.
Yep. Any more questions? Event specific questions are okay too, but like keep them short.
What was the weight record for boom lever? So yeah, boom lever isn't calculated specifically on a weight limit. It's a score which is based on the ratio of your weight that you hold to the mass of your thing of your
so
object.
like the max weight you can hold is like 15 kilos, right? But in like we have a bonus too. Like if you hold all 15, you get a 5,000 gram bonus. So basically it's like 20 kilos. And then so your weight it's going to be the weight, the amount you hold divided by the weight of your boom lever. So you want like a really like essentially you want to aim for like a higher score.
How really? What if I'm not in the club right now? What do you mean by that question? Can you elaborate a bit? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll be not quite sure as to how the school year will turn out, but we'll do our best to make sure that like we'll still be able to have like meetings when school starts, whether it's virtually or like smaller scale, so that's safe. Yeah, but you can just join next year or like this year.
And you don't have to be in our club or anything to come to our meetings or our study sessions. Like the only requirement is you have to be a Clements student, and that's about it. So if you want to
Yep.
come, then come.
Anyone else? If not, I'm gonna stop screen sharing. Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll wait a bit more if anyone has any other questions. Okay. I guess there's no more questions, I'm assuming. So yeah, so there's a few things again, just to reinforce. This link, this interest form link, will be of much help to us in terms of deciding participants and everything like that, interest. So make sure to fill it out, and then also join all of our like mediums for communication, which is mainly just like that summer study session Facebook group. And then I'll probably be mass approving everyone like right after this meeting. So you guys will come in like really soon. But yeah, stay tuned for our updates about summer schedules. And then if you have any questions, make sure to just ask any of us, and then we'll answer like anytime. Yeah. Thanks for coming, guys.
Wait.
Oh yeah.
Wait, we should send the schedule spreadsheet like in chat right now. Send a link to that.
Oh yeah, we should probably do that.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we'll be pasting on the Zoom links as well for when these sessions are too.
Mm-hmm. And we'll be sending that on our Facebook, which is probably going to be our main line of communication. So join the Facebook groups for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if that's about it, thanks for coming. And again, reach out to us, just talk to us about anything, and we'll be really happy and excited. So yeah, thanks for coming, guys. Bye.